Too many of us are not living our dreams because we are living our fears. I want you to take a moment and look at your life. I mean, really look at it. Are you living, or are you just existing? Are you playing to win, or are you playing not to lose? Most people go through life with their hand on the brake, wondering why the engine is screaming, but the car isn't moving. I'm talking to that person today who feels like they've been swimming upstream for years, exhausted, battered by the rocks of disappointment, and ready to give up. I'm here to tell you that there is a different way. There is a place called the flow where your effort meets your destiny and your struggle turns into a dance. But you can't get there by being reasonable. You can't get there by being realistic. Realistic people don't change the world. They stay stuck in the mud of what is, while the dreamers, the ones who are hungry, soar into what could be. You have greatness within you, but that greatness is locked behind a door that only opens when you decide to stop fighting the current and start growing with the rhythm of your own soul. The awakening of the seed, you have to understand, and I mean really get this down into your spirit, that you were born with a seed of greatness planted deep inside of you. When I was growing up in Liberty City, labeled educable mentally retarded, and placed back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade, I let that label become my identity. I walked around with my head down, living in a mental prison of someone else's making. I was a seed that refused to grow because I was terrified of the dirt. But then I met a man, Mr. Leroy Washington, who looked me in the eye and said something that shattered my chains. Luz, someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. In that moment, the first crack appeared in my shell. That is where the flow begins. It begins with the awakening. To grow and flow, you must first recognize that the struggle you're feeling right now, that pressure in your chest, that restlessness in your soul, that feeling that you're meant for more, is not a sign that you're failing. It is the sign that the seed is trying to break open. Think about a seed. For it to become a tree, its entire world has to fall apart. The shell has to crack. Its insides have to come out. And everything it thought it was must die. If you were that seed, you'd think you were being destroyed. You'd think the end had come. But it's not the end. It's the beginning of the flow. You are being planted, not buried. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid the dirt. They want the success. They want the influence. They want the peace, but they don't want the pressure of the soil. They want to stay a seed because a seed is safe. A seed is predictable. But a seed that stays a seed is a tragedy. You have to be hungry for your own evolution. You've got to get to a point where you are more afraid of staying where you are than you are of the dark unknown of growth. Most people are reasonable. They adapt themselves to the world. But the person who grows in flow is unreasonable. They insist that the world adapt to them. They look at their environment, no matter how toxic or limiting it may be, and they say, I will not let this dirt dictate my height. I am a child of God. I have greatness within me, and I have a right to be here. You have to claim your space. You have to realize that the very things weighing on you, the bills, the critics, the past mistakes, are actually the nutrients you need to sprout. The struggle gives you the muscle to break through the surface later on. If you didn't have to push against the soil, you wouldn't be strong enough to withstand the wind when you finally become a tree. Flow starts the moment you stop resisting your potential and start cooperating with the process. Most people are terrified of their own power. They play small so they won't make others feel insecure. They stay in the comfort zone. But I'm telling you, there is no growth in the comfort zone. And there is no comfort in the growth zone. You have to decide today that you are tired of being tired. You have to look at your reflection in the mirror and say, I am bigger than this circumstances. I am bigger than this paycheck. I am bigger than this depression. That recognition is the spark. It is the moment the seed realizes it isn't a rock. It's a living, breathing entity designed to reach for the sun. You were designed for the heights. You weren't meant to crawl, you were meant to soar. But you can't soar if you're still trying to keep your shell intact. You have to let the old you die so the new you can live. This is the hardest part of the awakening, It's lonely in the dirt. When you start to change, when you start to grow, your seed friends might not understand you. They'll say, who do you think you are? Why are you trying to change? Just stay here in the dirt with us. It's safe here. But you have to have the courage to follow the call of the light. You have to trust that the flow knows where it's taking you. You have to be willing to outgrow people, places, and things that no longer fit the version of yourself that is emerging. This is not being mean. It's being mindful of your destiny. You are on a mission. You have a date with destiny, and you can't keep that date if you're still trying to fit into a shell that you've already outgrown. Wake up to your greatness. Feel the life force surging within you, demanding to be expressed. This is your time. This is your moment. The awakening has begun. The architecture of belief. Once you break that shell and realize you aren't just a victim of your circumstances, you have to face a hard truth. The world is built on belief. And if you don't provide the blueprint for your own life, someone else will build a shack over your head and tell you to be grateful for the roof. Growing in flow is impossible without a rock, solid, unshakable foundation of belief. I'm not talking about that wishy-washy kind of belief where you feel good when the sun is shining and your bills are paid. I'm talking about the kind of belief that can stand in the middle of a hurricane, look the storm in the eye, and say, I am the one who decides when this story ends. Belief is not just a feeling, it is a commitment to a reality that hasn't shown up in the physical world yet. It is an internal yes that is so loud, so resonant, and so powerful that it cancels out 1,000 external no's. When I wanted to be a disc jockey, people laughed at me. They looked at my background, they looked at my lack of education, and they looked at my empty pockets. They said, Les, you're being unrealistic. You don't have the voice. You don't have the experience. Why don't you just get a steady job and be happy with what you've got? But I had a vision that was louder than their opinions. I didn't have a job, but I had a dream. I didn't have a microphone, but I had a mouth. I would go into my room, turn off the lights, and practice my DJ rap into a hairbrush until my throat was sore. I was building the architecture of my belief before I ever stepped foot in a radio station. You see, most people wait for the opportunity to show up before they start believing they can do it. But the flow doesn't work that way. The flow follows the belief. You have to believe it until it becomes your only reality, even when the evidence of your life is shouting that it's impossible. Growing in flow means you must align your internal dialogue with your ultimate destination. You have to watch your words like a hawk. Your words are the blueprints for the house you're building. Every time you say, I'm broke, I'm tired, or never get the breaks, you are literally handing the universe a plan for a life of lack. You are reinforcing the walls of your own prison. You've got to stop being a volunteer victim. This isn't just about positive thinking. This is spiritual architecture. You are fighting for your life. You have to start saying, I am blessed. I am capable. I am a magnet for opportunity. I am healthy, I am wealthy, and I am wise. Even if you're sleeping on a floor, you have to talk like you're living in a mansion. You have to develop a no matter what philosophy. You have to be so convinced of your greatness that when people tell you no, you hear it as next opportunity. You have to hold on to your dream with the tenacity of a pit bull. If you let go of your belief, you let go of your flow, you have to understand that your mind is a garden and belief is the fence that keeps the weeds out. If you don't build that fence, every doubt, every critic, and every piece of bad news will wander in and choke the life out of your vision. You must be careful who you allow into your mental construction site. There are people in your life right now who are belief robbers. They don't want you to grow because your growth highlights their stagnation. They will try to pull you back into the reasonable world. You have to be bold enough to protect your inner world at all costs. When you align your belief with the natural flow of your talent, something miraculous happens. The universe starts to conspire in your favor. It's like the molecular structure of your environment changes. People show up out of nowhere with the exact information you need. Doors open that you didn't even know were there. But those doors only open for the person who has already walked through the door in their mind. You have to see yourself winning before the game even starts. This architecture of belief requires constant maintenance. You can't just build it once and forget it. You have to feed your mind daily. You have to listen to the right things, read the right things, and talk to the right people. You have to immerse yourself in the frequency of success. If you want to grow in flow, you have to vibrate at the level of the life you want, not the life you have. When you do this, the struggle stops being a fight and starts being a refinement. You begin to trust the process. You realize that even the delays are part of the design. The foundation has to be deep to support a skyscraper, and sometimes the digging feels like you're going backward, but you're actually creating the space for your greatness to stand firm. Build your belief so strong that nothing on the outside can shake what you've built on the inside. You are the architect. Start building something magnificent today. The grace of the struggle. Now, let me tell you something that most people will never have the guts to say to your face. The flow isn't always a smooth, gentle ride down a lazy river on a Sunday afternoon. Sometimes the flow is a waterfall that drops you off a jagged cliff when you least expect it. Sometimes the flow is a raging rapid that tries to pull you under and beat you against the rocks of disappointment until you don't think you have any breath left in your lungs. But you have to understand, and I mean really get this into your marrow, that the struggle is not an interruption of the flow. The struggle is the flow. You cannot have the harvest without the labor. You cannot have the rainbow without the storm. We live in a world of instant everything, where people want the prize without the process, the mic drop without the years of sweating in a dark room where nobody knew their name. But life doesn't work that way. Greatness is not a gift, it's a refinement. When I was trying to break into the world of professional speaking, I didn't just walk onto a stage and have people applaud. I failed over and over and over again. I was broke. I was sleeping on a cold floor, and I was being told no by every organization, every church, and every community center I contacted. There were days when I sat in my car and cried because I didn't know how I was going to eat or how I was going to keep my dream alive. But in those moments of absolute darkness, I realized something that changed my life. Those no's weren't rejection, they were direction. They were stripping away the fluff. They were refining my message. They were toughening my skin so that when I finally got to the big stages, I would have the substance to stay there. If it were easy, everybody would do it. The struggle is the great separator. It separates the talkers from the doers, the wishers from the willers. It's the fire that burns away the dross and leaves only the gold. To grow and flow, you have to develop a different relationship with pain. You have to embrace the grace of the struggle. Most people spend their lives running away from anything that feels hard. They want the path of least resistance. But the path of least resistance makes for crooked rivers and weak men. You have to realize that every setback you encounter is actually a setup for a magnificent comeback. You've got to stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking with a hungry spirit, what is this trying to teach me? How is this making me stronger? What part of my character is being forged in this furnace? When you shift that perspective, you stop fighting the current and you start using the raw energy of the wave to propel you forward. You have to be willing to fail your way to success. You have to be willing to look like a fool, to stumble, to stutter, and to fall flat on your face in order to become a master. The flow is found in the persistence. It is found in the spirit of the person who gets knocked down 7 times but stands up 8, wiping the blood from their lip and saying, "Is that all you've got?" You have to understand that life is testing you. It's asking you, how bad do you want it? The struggle is the price of admission to the life of your dreams. If you aren't willing to pay the price, you don't deserve the prize. I remember when my mother got sick and I had to take care of her while trying to build my career. It was the hardest time of my life. I was exhausted, I was stressed, and I felt like the world was closing in on me. But it was in that struggle that I learned the true meaning of love and commitment. It gave my words a weight they never had before. It gave me a heart for people that I couldn't have developed in the good times. That is the grace of the struggle. It gives you depth. It gives you soul. You can't fake that. People can tell when you've been through the fire. They can hear the resonance of the struggle in your voice. So when you find yourself in a season of hardship, don't you dare give up. Don't you dare throw in the towel. That pain you're feeling, that's just the weakness leaving your body. That confusion, that's just your old mindsets breaking down so new wisdom can enter. You've got to have that. It's not over until I win, spirit. You have to look at your mountain and say, mountain, you're not getting any bigger, but I am. You are growing in the struggle. You are expanding in the pressure. You are becoming the person who is capable of handling the dream you've been praying for. Trust the flow, even when it's a storm. Hold on to your vision with everything you've got, because the sun is going to shine again. And when it does, you're going to be standing there stronger, wiser, and more powerful than you ever thought possible. You have greatness within you. The power of radical alignment. Let me tell you why so many people are walking around today feeling absolutely drained, exhausted, and spiritually depleted. It's not because they're working too hard. It's because they are living a lie. They are out of alignment with their soul's purpose. They are trying to swim in a direction that God never intended for them to go. Friction is the enemy of the flow. When you are doing work you hate, hanging around people who depress you, and following a path that doesn't set your soul on fire, you are creating a level of internal friction that will eventually burn you out. To grow in flow, you must move into a state of radical alignment. You have to find that sweet spot where your natural talents, your deep passions, and your daily actions all line up like the stars in the midnight sky. When that happens, you don't just work, you manifest. You don't just exist, you explode with life. I want you to ask yourself a question that might make you a little uncomfortable. Why are you doing what you're doing? Are you living your life to satisfy your parents? Are you staying in that dead end job just to prove something to people who don't even like you? That is not alignment. That is imprisonment. You were created for a specific reason. There's a why behind your existence that is so big, so powerful, and so unique that no one else on this planet can fulfill it but you. When you find that why, you find your flow. It's like a gear finally clicking into place after years of grinding. Suddenly, the universe stops being an obstacle and starts being an ally. But to get into that alignment, you have to be willing to do some radical pruning. You can't grow into a magnificent oak tree if you're covered in parasitic vines that are sucking the life out of you. Pruning is painful. It means looking at your inner circle and being honest about who belongs there. There are people in your life right now, maybe even people you love, who are dream killers. They are energy vampires who see your light and try to blow it out because it hurts their eyes. They want you to stay down in the mud with them because your growth makes them feel insecure about their own stagnation. If you want to grow in flow, you have to surround yourself with only quality people. You need people who will challenge you, people who will stretch you, and people who will look at your dream and say, is that all? You can go bigger than that. You cannot expect to soar with the eagles if you're still scratching around in the dirt with the turkeys. Radical alignment requires you to be ruthless with your environment. You have to create a success sanctuary around your mind and your spirit. This alignment also means being honest about your gifts. Most people spend their lives trying to fix their weaknesses instead of developing their strengths. That is a recipe for mediocrity. If you're a great singer but a terrible accountant, don't spend all your time taking math classes. Get out there and sing. Your gift will make room for you. When you operate within your natural flow, you don't have to force things. You don't have to manipulate people or climb over others to get to the top. You just show up as your authentic, powerful self, and the flow carries you to exactly where you need to be. It's a state of effortless effort. It doesn't mean you don't work hard. It means the work doesn't feel like a burden. It feels like an expression of your very being. You have to be bold enough to let go of the shore. Most people are hugging the bank of the river because they're afraid of the deep water. They're holding on to good things, a good job, a good house, a good reputation. But those good things are the enemies of the great. Things that are waiting for them in the middle of the current. Radical alignment means saying no to the distractions so you can say yes to your destiny. It means being so clear about your purpose that you can walk away from money, fame, or security if it doesn't align with your soul. When you are in alignment, you become a magnet. You don't have to chase success. Success will start chasing you. You'll find that you're in the right place at the right time, saying the right things to the right people. That's not luck. That's alignment. That's the power of the flow. I'm calling you to take a look at your life today and identify the friction. Where are you forcing it? Where are you pretending? Where are you hiding your true self just to fit in? Stop it. Life is too short to be lived in the shadows. You have a mandate to be great. You have a responsibility to show the world what God can do through a person who is totally aligned with their purpose. Start pruning the dead branches. Start seeking out the people who fuel your fire. Start saying no to anything that doesn't resonate with your spirit. When you align yourself with the truth of who you are, you won't just grow, you will transform. You will become an unstoppable force of nature, moving with the grace and power of the flow. You have greatness within you. The mastery of the mindset. Let me tell you something right now that will save you years of heartache if you can just get it down into your spirit. The mind is a beautiful servant, but it is a terrible master. If you do not take the reins of your mind, it will gallop right off a cliff and take your dreams with it. To grow and flow is not just an external journey. It is a battle for the territory of your soul. You've got to understand that the flow is a state of consciousness. It's a place where the static of the world fades away and the knowing of your destiny begins. But you can't get there with a cluttered, noisy, fearful mind. You've got to be the gatekeeper of your own peace. You've got to guard the doorway of your thoughts with the same intensity that a Secret Service agent guards the president. Because what you allow to enter your mind will eventually determine the quality of your life. Most people are walking around with a poverty mindset. Even if they have money in the bank, they are constantly looking for what's wrong. They are tuned into the frequency of scarcity, fear, and not enough. They think that because things didn't work out yesterday, they won't work out tomorrow. They let the news, the gossip, and the toxic opinions of others seep into their spirit like a slow-acting poison. But I'm telling you, if you want to find your flow, you have to move into a mindset of abundance. You have to realize that the universe is infinite. There is no shortage of opportunity. There is only a shortage of people who are ready to see it. You have to train your mind to see a way where there is no way. When I was struggling, I had to stop listening to the voice that said, Les, you're just a kid from the streets, and start listening to the voice that said, Les, you are a world changer. You have to learn to talk to yourself instead of listening to yourself. This is a key secret of the masters. If you listen to yourself, you'll hear all the old programming. You'll hear the voice of that teacher who told you that you were slow. You'll hear the voice of that ex-partner who told you that you weren't good enough. You'll hear the voice of your own fear telling you all the reasons why you should play it safe. But if you talk to yourself, you can command your spirit to rise. You've got to wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and say, this is my day. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Something great is going to happen to me and through me today. You have to use your words to whip your mind into shape. You have to tell your fear to sit down and be quiet, because the king is on the throne. Mindset mastery means you stop being a reactionary person. Most people are like thermometers. They just reflect the temperature of the room. If things are going well, they feel good. If things are going bad, they feel bad. But if you want to grow and flow, you have to be a thermostat. You set the temperature. You decide how you're going to feel regardless of what the economy is doing or what your neighbors are saying. You have to develop a focus so sharp that it can cut through steel. You have to be so locked into your vision that you don't even see the distractions. When you are in the flow, you have a psychological immunity to negativity. You can hear a no, and it doesn't even faze you because your internal yes is so much louder. You also have to practice the art of visualization. You have to see it before you see it, or you'll never see it. You have to spend time every day in the laboratory of your mind rehearsing your future. If you want to be a great leader, see yourself leading. If you want to be healthy, see yourself running with joy. You have to feel the emotions of your success before the success actually arrives. This isn't just woo stuff. This is how the brain works. When you visualize, you are literally wiring your brain for the flow. You are creating the neural pathways that will lead you to your destiny. You are teaching your subconscious mind to recognize the opportunities that align with your vision. Finally, you must cultivate a spirit of gratitude. You cannot grow and flow while you are complaining. Complaining is like a leak in your gas tank. It drains your energy and keeps you stalled on the side of the road. But gratitude is the fuel of the flow. When you start being grateful for what you have, you open the door for more to come. You have to be grateful for the small wins, the lessons, and even the challenges. A mastered mindset is one that can find the blessing in the middle of a mess. It's a mindset that says, I know how I'm going to get through this, but I know I will, and I'll be better for it. That is the state of mind that the flow loves. That is where miracles happen. You have greatness within you. Control your mind, and you will control your world. The courage to act now, all the belief in the world, all the alignment of your soul, and all the mastery of your mindset won't move the needle 1 inch if you do not have the courage to take massive, unapologetic action. You see, the flow is not a stagnant pond where you sit and meditate until things happen to you. The flow is a moving, rushing, living stream of energy, and you cannot be a part of it if you are standing still on the bank. You've got to get in the water. Most people spend their entire lives waiting. They're waiting for the perfect moment. They're waiting until they have more money. They're waiting until the kids are out of school. They're waiting until they feel ready. Let me tell you a secret. You will never be ready. If you wait until you're ready, you'll be waiting until you're in the grave. Perfectionism is just a fancy, high-class word for procrastination. It is a mask that fear wears to keep you from failing. But by trying to avoid failure, you are guaranteeing it. The graveyard is the richest place on this earth, not because of the gold buried there, but because it is filled with songs that were never sung, books that were never written, businesses that were never started, and dreams that were never realized. People took their greatness to the grave with them because they were waiting for a green light that never came. Don't you dare add to that wealth. You have to have the courage to start where you are with what you have, because what you have is enough. When I wanted to be a broadcaster, I didn't have a station, so I acted like I did. I practiced. I showed up. I made myself available. I took action before the world gave me permission. You have to give yourself permission. You have to be the one to say, it's my time and I'm moving now. Action is the ultimate high vibrational state. When you move, the universe moves. When you commit, providence follows. There is a mystical quality to taking action that most people never experience because they're too busy thinking about it. I call it the leap of faith. In the flow, the bridge doesn't appear before you step out. It appears as you step out. You have to trust your intuition. If that voice inside you is screaming at you to make that phone call, to sign those papers, to walk away from that toxic situation, or to launch that project, do it now. Don't let the sun go down on your hesitation. Hesitation is the thief of opportunity. The longer you wait, the more time you give for your old fears to crawl back into the driver's seat. You've got to strike while the iron is hot. And if the iron isn't hot, you've got to strike it until it gets hot. To grow in flow, you must be willing to fail fast and fail forward. You have to be willing to look like a fool to become a master. When you take action, you get feedback. When you get feedback, you get better. When you get better, your flow becomes more powerful. But you can't get feedback if you're sitting on the couch visualizing. You've got to get your hands dirty. You've got to be in the arena. As Teddy Roosevelt said, with your face marred by dust and sweat and blood. That is where the life is. That is where the growth is. Stop being a spectator in your own life. Stop watching other people live their dreams on a screen while yours is gathering dust in a corner of your mind. You are the protagonist. You are the lead actor. It's time to play your part with everything you've got. I'm talking to that person right now who has been getting ready for 3 years. You've got the business cards, you've got the website, you've got the plan, but you haven't made a single sale, you haven't made the pitch. You're afraid of the no. Let me tell you, the no is your friend. The no is the weight in the gym that builds your muscle. You need the no to get to the yes. You have to act with a sense of urgency because the clock is ticking. None of us knows how much time we have left. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is the real thing. Your life is happening right now in this moment. Every second you spend in indecision is a second of your greatness that you are throwing away. So I want you to make a commitment today. I want you to pick one thing, just one that you've been putting off, and I want you to do it before you go to sleep tonight. Don't worry about it being perfect. Just get it done. Break the seal. Shatter the inertia. Once you start moving, the flow will take over. You'll find that you have more energy. You'll find that you have more clarity. You'll find that the how starts to reveal itself. But you must take that first step. You must have the courage to be imperfectly active rather than perfectly stagnant. You have greatness within you. You have the power to change your world. Now, get out there and act like it. We have traveled a long way together today. We've talked about the awakening of that seed, the architecture of your belief, the grace found in your struggles, the power of alignment, and the mastery of your mind. And now we've arrived at the most important part, the moment of truth. You are standing at a crossroads. You can go back to the way things were, the safety, the reasonableness, the quiet desperation, or you can step into the flow. You can decide that from this moment forward, you are going to live a life that is worthy of the greatness that God put inside you. I want you to look back at everything you've been through. All the tears, all the late nights, all the times you thought you wouldn't make it. You didn't survive all of that just to stay the same. You survived all of that to become the person you are becoming right now. You are a miracle in motion. You are a walking, breathing testament to the power of the human spirit. Don't you dare play small. Don't you dare let your light be dimmed. The world needs what you have. There is someone out there right now who is waiting for you to step into your flow so that your light can show them the way out of their darkness. You have a responsibility to be great. It's not just about you. It's about everyone you were sent here to serve. I believe in you. I know what you're capable of. I've seen the fire in your eyes. Now, go out there and set the world on fire. It's your time. It's your turn. Grow and flow and never look back. You have the power.